Welcome. My name's Kathy A, and today I thought I would go through my May faves and flops. And I call them faves and flops because we used to do that with the 16 magazines. Remember Who's Your Fave Rave and things like that? Anyway, the fave word just stayed with me over time. So these are faves and flops for the month of May. I had a variety of products here from Speay.
But first, subscription man needs subscribers.
Yes, please, thank you, subscription man. He was also Hodor. Yes, it's the last weekend. It's the last episode of Game of Thrones. And those of you, apparently not a lot of you like it because I only got like 300 views for my Game of Thrones special. And it was probably one of the most planned and hardest I ever worked on a video before. We had those skits in play for like a month and it took us hours and hours to film. And then nobody watched it. So I apologize to those of you who don't watch Game of Thrones. We thought it would be entertaining. I mean, the skits are kind of cute. If you watch the show, you'll get it. If you don't watch the show, it's just the makeup review. And a lot of people have already reviewed the makeup, so it's kind of a moot point. And the show's ending this weekend, so it's like, okay. If you haven't seen it yet, I'm going to put a link for it either up here or at the end so you can watch it and just humor me. It really was a lot of work, and we sing at the end, and a lot of people miss that. We sing at the end. So okay, back to the reviews. First of all, I've been hearing a lot about e.l.f. skincare, and this is something I picked up in Target. There's 3 pieces to this particular set. I've been hearing a lot about the moisturizer, but I think it's the new moisturizer that comes in the jar, not this regular daily hydration moisturizer. It's got to be because... Alright, first of all, the daily face cleanser it stung my eyes. Now, it didn't really get all of the makeup off. It didn't really make my skin feel clean, and it stung my eyes, and that's really big. The eye cream initially felt nice going on, nice and creamy, and it also stung my eyes. I went down in here with the eye cream, and I probably shouldn't have, and it got into my eye, and it stung. So there's something in here that stings my eyes. Now the moisturizer I've been using probably about a week, and I just feel when I put my makeup on after I've used this, it doesn't feel like I'm very moisturized or hydrated at all. So to me, this was a big fail. And I know some people are swearing by the e.l.f. skincare, but it's definitely not this. So this is the Hello Hydration Starter Set. So it's a big thumbs down from my standpoint. A big thumbs up, and this has been a big hero for me. This is CLARINS. And it's the oddest thing, and I saw somebody talk about it saying how it really blurred lines and wrinkles and texture. And I thought, oh, you know, I've heard that before a million times, but this is for real. This stuff actually works, and I would never, ever recommend something along these lines. I think it's like 30 bucks for this. I would never recommend something that costs more than drugstore unless it really, really wowed me, and this did. This is the Instant Smooth Perfecting Touch, and what it is, little goes a long way. It comes in a jar. You get a couple of spatulas with it, with a tiny little indent in there. I have been using it a lot, but basically you just take a little, like half a grain of rice size amount, just about like this. I don't know if you can see it, but just a teeny bit, and then I just take my finger from a little bit. I go into the lines, the deep set lines. I go into where my wrinkles are. I put some up in the forehead area where I have those deeper lines. I go underneath my eyes here where there's some texture. I go around my mouth, all around my mouth where I have those mouth lines, and this stuff works. It works. So it's called CLARINS. I have to read it every time because it's so silly. CLARINS Instant Smooth Perfecting Touch. CLARINS. And it's not a brand that I normally purchase. I don't go to the CLARINS counter when I go to a store. I mean, it's just totally random. I saw another YouTuber talk about it, and I'll be darned if I can remember who it was. It might have been Elle Leary, somebody like that. So it's perfect. It actually really does blur. And then I'll use like the glow primer or something over the top for regular face stuff, and then put my makeup on. But this stuff works really well. You can put makeup on over the top of it. It plays well with others, and some primers don't, but this one does. So it's really good CLARINS. So yay. Disappointed am I. Yeah, this just didn't work. This was the Australian Gold Spray-On with bronzer, and I tried it on my body. I first put it on my face because I thought this was the Australian Gold everybody was talking about, but it's not. This is the one that everybody's talking about. But let's get back here. This is the Australian Gold Spray-On bronzer. You spray it on, kind of wipe it in, and it gives you a little bit of color. Very patchy, rubs off on your clothes. What a nightmare. And I lost my receipt, so I can't return. It was a CVS purchase. And it's SPF 30. I've been having a horror show trying to find stuff that works well with makeup. Part of that journey has been this. This is the 50 SPF from Australian Gold. It is a tinted SPF, which means it kind of looks like a tinted moisturizer. This one is very thick. And I actually took pictures of this because I tried it all week long in different variations. I tried it on its own, and it doesn't give quite enough coverage. When it dries down, it takes about maybe 20 minutes to 30 minutes to dry down. When it dries down, it goes a little bit darker. So if you are a medium light to really light shade person, this will show up as a darker shade on you. So you have to take it all the way down the neck and through the décolleté area, the whole area. It goes darker. It doesn't go orange, but it goes darker. And this is my problem with it. And I read reviews on it, and other people have had this issue where they can't get it off. You can't get it off your skin at night. I tried cleansers, I tried makeup remover, and then a cleanser. Coconut oil took it off eventually, and a little mineral oil took it off eventually. So when you can't get the product off, it's going to clog your pores and cause breakouts and cause skin problems. So I think all of those folks who said it didn't work for them because they kept getting breakouts, it's because it can't get it off. It can't get the stuff off. So I kind of liked it. I didn't think it behaved well with some makeup. I did use it with my drops. I added some of my drops to it, my Derma Blend Creator drops, and it seemed to make a nice makeup there, but it broke through. Something about it didn't play well with my chin. My chin always is the best test for things because it breaks through. And around my nose got really kind of patchy. So I didn't think this was that great. And I wanted it to work because it's a drugstore. It was very reasonably priced. You can get it in Ulta. On its own, it wasn't enough coverage. And under makeup, it broke down the makeup. So I'm going to try a few other things. If you're interested in an SPF video, I will do one. I have tried a few so far. They've all been failures. And I'm not going to spend for the Sicily. I'm not spending $170 for the Sicily. That's absolutely ridiculous. I cannot believe people are doing that. I never hear people talk about Peter Thomas Roth foundations. And this is along the ends of the SPF. This is an SPF 30 also. It is a CC cream. I used to love this stuff. It comes in 3 shades, like a light white girl shade. It's got a medium, kind of medium shade, and then it's got a deeper shade, a richer shade that isn't quite as deep as some people's skin tones would go. But it does enhance your skin tone, so if you are one of the deeper, richer skin tones, you can wear that darker shade and it will kind of meld and merge with your skin tone. But since I'm the fish belly white girl, I've got the medium light shade, and this works really well, and it's got a lot of skincare ingredients in it. And I think that that's an important thing. We should start thinking more about that now at this age group. This is the light shade, and let me not put it over that. So I'm just going to put it right here. You get a nice medium light coverage. It looks good with makeup. It's kind of a glowy finish. I put a little bit of powder to set it, and it lasts through the day. This is a CC cream with all kinds of vitamins and minerals and things in it, and I think that that's important. But Peter Thomas Roth, and this is the Skin to Die For Mineral Matte CC Cream with Broad Spectrum SPF 30. And SPF is a rating, it's not an ingredient. So like you have, it's like A+ isn't the thing, it's a rating for it. So it's a protection factor, how much protection you have. And 30 is actually somewhere in the late 90s as far as blocking 90-something% of the UVA and UVB rays, and different SPFs will do that. And there's two different kinds. There's like physical SPFs, and then there's they're naturally derived SPFs, and then there's chemical SPFs, which are not naturally derived. And some people have reactions to one or the other. So it's a little complex, and I'd have to do like a separate SPF video. If you want me to do that, I'd be happy to. Anyway, I like this, and I know that when you have an SPF in your foundation, you actually have to layer it on at least a couple of layers. You can't just put a thin little layer of makeup on that has SPF and think you're covered, because you're not. It's too thin. It's not strong enough a coverage to block the rays. So, I mean, if you're really concerned about this, if you're in an area where you're out in the sun all the time or whatever, I would recommend, though, that you put the SPF on your hands. Put it on your hands. Of course, we always have the alternative, which is the it Cosmetics CC Cream, which has this strong citrus smell to it. I was just watching a lady who, she's really good. I'll link her channel below if I see it, but she's very scientific about everything, and she talks about what role fragrance plays in cosmetics, and it's not just for smell. There's carrier properties to it. It's carrier property. Will make something sink deeper into your skin. It's actually not a fragrance like to smell. So I thought that was an interesting thing that she did, and if I find that video, I will link it below. So I don't know how I got off the subject. Okay, foundations. This one came out, and I really liked it, and it's gotten mixed reviews from different people for different reasons. This is the Uoma, and Uoma means beautiful in Nigerian, and the lady who started this line, which has 51 shades, it's a brand new line, 51 shades. Uoma. She has a lot of undertones and a lot of degrees of darkness and lightness to the line. I think it's very, very admirable. I was a little confused as to what shade I should get, because she had this one warm, one neutral, one cool, and then she had other variants to it, and then she had rosy undertones, peach undertones, yellow undertones. I got a little confused, and I wound up getting a shade that was a little light for me. So I mixed my Creator drops in with this, and I think it's a wonderful foundation. It has a very long-lasting formulation, and I have dry skin and texture, so I don't think it's bad at all. It does work pretty well. Near the end of the day, it did give me a little bit of cracking around the nose, and it did seep into my lines at the end of the day, but most foundations tend to do that with me. Not so much since I have been using my CLARINS primer, but I want to show you, I have a really bad age spot in this area of my arm, and you can't see it. And it's a really nice medium coverage, and I think it's just a very fun foundation. I think it's something that you should give a try. I purchased this from Ulta's website. I didn't go to the Uoma website, but they do have other products, and those did not get as good a rating, I think, because the eyeshadow palettes especially were expensive. I think it's great, and I really like it. I think it spreads nicely. I've tried it both ways. I think buffing it in with a brush is really good, and then I will use a beauty blender just to tap over the top to smooth out any possible lines. Works really well if you have large pores. I like it. So the Uoma, it's pronounced Uoma foundation. It's a fairly new brand that Ulta carries. Quandary here. I have two finishing powders from Too Faced. And I think I actually like this one, and I picked it up of all places, TJ Maxx. This is the Peach Blur from Too Faced. It is a finishing powder, and even though it looks pink, it is not. It is like colorless, and it goes over your skin, gives you a really pretty healthy look to your skin. It's not colored, it's not a highlighter. I thought this was really nice. You do get that gacky peach smell that he has in all of his peach products, but it's not bad. Now this one, I had seen another YouTuber discussing. This has a very strong scent to it. This is the Do You powder. I hate the packaging on this one. Oh, it's got one of those tops on it, but you, and that can go in here. Yeah, this is the powder itself, and let's see if I can. It gives you a slight glow. It's not a flat look. It is a finishing powder. It gives you a slight bronzy glow, and I think it's the bronzy color part of that I'm not keen on. I think that out of the two, I definitely prefer the Peach Blur finishing powder. And the loose powder, I don't mind loose powder at all. I use a big brush and put it around. When I spread this around, if you get too much on the brush, you get kind of a dirty look to your face. It looks like it's dirty. So the Do You might be Dirt You, I don't know, Dirty You. So I think out of the two, I actually prefer the Peach Blur, and you can get this now in TJ Maxx, I think for like $5.99 or so. It's some outrageously low price. They have really stepped up their game at TJ Maxx for makeup. I mean, they're getting, I do have something here that was disappointing that was there. Maybe that's the problem. They're just sending their disappointing products. But you see Anastasia, Beverly Hills, Too Faced, Kat Von D, Becca. There was Laura Geller. I'll just show you. I got a set. I think it was called Parisian Nights or something. I forget. It came with a really nice lip gloss, which is a beautiful, it's like a clear, pearly kind of look. So over the top of the lipstick, it gives it kind of a sheen. Very, very nice for the center. It comes with a blush. And the problem I have with the blushes from Laura Geller is they're just a little bit too shiny, glowy for me. It's very, very shiny, glowy, and the formulation is awfully pretty, but it's just that, it's that shiny thing. I don't want that shiny orange on my cheek. So this blush actually was a fail. I think it would work better maybe as an eyeshadow. I don't think the Peach Blur on my face with the shininess worked at all. And it said light medium, but the Balance and Brighten that they put in there is the medium shade. And if you get too dark a shade in the Balance and Brighten, you can again, you'll look like you're putting dirt on your face. It's way too dark for me. I looked ridiculous. I went to work and everybody was polite, but I know they were kind of like looking at me like, what are you wearing on your face? It was so obvious. It looked like a fake tan almost. So the medium's way too dark, and I'm like a light to a fair in these kinds of things. So I was disappointed. I like the Balance and Brighten. I just didn't like the fact that I didn't get a choice to have the light in. The eyeshadow that comes in that kit was, again, all satiny, shiny things. I don't know why she thinks that's effective. There's a matte shade in the middle that's sort of matte. I think there's a light sheen to it, but then all of the 4 shades around the outside are all shimmers. I didn't mind it. I did try to make an eye look with it, and it looked like a hot mess. But I did like this particular shade, which was the dark color. And they look slightly different outside of the pan. You can see there's almost a reddish tone to that. It's not like a true dark brown like it looks in the pan, and I think the same with this one. I think it was just a little bit different than it appears. And you can see that there's nothing there that you can use in your crease or anywhere where you would want a good eye look. So, you know, it was a great set. It was like $9.99 for the 4 pieces, but I mean, I'm not using any of them. So there is a new kit in town, and I have seen a couple of videos on it, and all of the stores that are near me, the Dollar General stores, they're just starting to set it up now. So I know that if they're just starting to set it up where I am, they're probably just starting to set it up where you are. So you're not going to be able to find some of these things. I did happen to find 4 products to try. Everything else was either not put out yet or sold out. I'd like to think that it was not put out yet because the people just kind of gave me that glazed over look, like we have to put everything else out too, and people want potato chips, you know. So the Believe brand is, I guess it's going to be something that is for Dollar General stores. And they have an assortment of products for skincare and makeup that are all $5 or less. The makeup itself, I think it was $5. Yeah. Again, you know, this is the nude shade. They had a little bit of variety in the colors of the makeup, and this is a formulation that it's very serum-y. It's lighter than it appears in the jar, so I would say this is the nude shade. So if you get the nude shade, you're going to have to work it. If it's very light, it does oxidize just a little bit. It does get a little bit darker, but I had to use my drops with it to make it the right color. It seemed to want to crawl into my lines, my deep lines, and underneath my eyes it didn't look so great. I'm not sure I could recommend the foundation. I think initially it looked really nice, but when the dry down happened, it looked a little too blotchy, and I don't know. I think that, see, it's already gotten a little bit darker than it was. Even with my creator drops with it, I wore it 2 days to work, and I just, my chin broke through right by noontime. My chin broke through, so that's only about 4 hours after I put it on. I will say, I would not recommend the foundation if you have dry skin or if you have texture in your skin, because it kept crawling into these marionette lines. I call them the St. Bernard lines, right in here, St. Bernard gels. It didn't work very well there. Now the concealer was actually performed better than the foundation, and this is the concealer had several shades too. I got the same shade that matched what I thought matched my my foundation. It was the same shade name. So this is the nude concealer, and it really wasn't bad. It worked just as well as some high-end concealers I've used, but still it wasn't that great in performance. And the dry down, it got a little bit cracked underneath my eyes where I have a lot of texture. So I mean, the second you press it in, you get a little bit of light sheer powder right over the top right away. It wasn't bad, but I think there's better concealers out there, and this was only like $4.25 or something. It was very cheap, but it was surprisingly better than I thought it would be. So another thing that Believe makeup has in their line, and it is exclusive to the Dollar General stores, you're not going to find it in other places, the color correctors. And this is the light medium one. It's kind of a light peachy color. Let's see, I can put it maybe on this age spot. I think that the light medium is more geared towards the medium folks. People with really light skin are going to find it's just a teeny bit dark, but a color corrector like this is really good for dark circles under your eyes or that darkness that's on the inside of your eye area. Very, very nice. It did crack underneath because I did try it in this area here on the inside of my eye area, and it did kind of crack on the dry down. So I really can't say I like this, but I will say it's probably pretty good if you have like acne or an age spot on your face, not underneath your eyes or where there's a lot of texture. I would say maybe just underneath the nose, or I have redness on the chin, maybe try it there. But it just really wasn't thrilling to me. But I think it's kind of neat they had a color corrector as well as a concealer. I thought that was kind of neat that they had both things. And the peach correctors are nice. I still think Pixie has the best one in that area. The other thing from Believe Makeup that I wanted to try was the mascara, and they had like 4 different types. They had like Super Duper Gold's tube one with a large brush, and they had like a maximum volume, and then they had this one which had the thinner brush. And I like smaller brushes because two of my favorite mascaras, the Lash Discovery from Maybelline and also the IT Cosmetics Tightline mascaras, both have very tiny wands that you can barely see them. And you can really get a lot of good control with a tiny wand like that. A lot of people like these smaller size wands so they can do that. And this one, out of the 2 of these, this reminded me of the Lash Discovery, almost identical, if not the same thing. The wand was very, very controllable, which I like. You can get very close to your eyes without poking yourself. You can get that lower lashes done without overdoing it. I think it's a pretty versatile thing. It made a very pretty separated lash. It wasn't extremely super honkin' big, but it was really nice, and it did not leave dings. It did not smear on my upper lid, and that's really important with a mascara. So I'm very, very impressed with the Believe mascara, and this one is called High Definition Skinny, this particular one. And I think it's pretty good. I'm very impressed, and I'm actually going to try one of the other mascaras because of it, because I think that the formulation, if you get a good formulation, then the brush, you know, is just really an applicator. But this didn't have fibers in it. I don't think it had any kind of fibers or building kind of complex to the formula, so it won't give you a lot of extension or volume. But it did really coat nicely in my lips. My lashes looked very pretty. They just looked pretty. And I think it was a nice mascara. And if it's not going to melt, and we've had warm days lately here, even in Connecticut, I think that's a pretty good thing. So, yep, I approve definitely of the Believe mascara, at least the High Definition Skinny one I did like. So, speaking of Game of Thrones, I was one of the few people who apparently got the Jon Snow Longclaw Brush. Now, this brush is a really high quality brush from Urban Decay. You've got this cute little, it's got the wolf's head with the 2 red ruby eyes. It does have the sword, the way the sword handle is, if you're holding it that way, it keeps you from getting too close to the edge. Some people complain that this didn't let them hold the brush correctly, but I think it actually forces you to hold the brush more correctly than what you may have been doing in the past. I think it's a perfect way to hold the brush. And you can get in there, you can pack this on, you can pack stuff on the lid, you can use it in the crease, you can blend with it. I think it's a perfect all-purpose brush. I am not putting mine on a shelf like a collector's piece. I'm actually using mine, and I really like it. I think it's a great little brush. So from the Game of Thrones collection from Urban Decay, this one did remain in the collection. Brushes I did not like came from Amazon, and you know, there's such a big flurry now of product with the Game of Thrones name on it or insignia, or you know, you can get silly t-shirts, and you can get even the Oreo cookies. You still have, I bought like 4 bags of them, so I still have a bag left of the Oreo cookies, and on the back you can see that there's the four main players here. We have the Stark House, Targaryen, Lannister, and the White Walker. You can see them all there. Really, really cute, and they don't cost any more than regular Oreos do. So under $5 for the bag of Oreos. So we were getting a kick out of eating those. Not the healthiest thing, but it's so clever. Well, also, I got suckered into this because it just looked too good to be true, and it is definitely too good to be true. These are all the sigils, all of the, I guess you could say they're all of the logos from each of the houses. We have Lannister, Targaryen, the Starks, we've got House Tully, we even have Hand of the King, which is kind of neat. And the brush on the other end is the part that's kind of controversial to me. There's really only a couple of these that are very usable at all. The brushes suck. So when you see these advertised, they come in silver or brass or gold or whatever. My husband had a good idea, and he said they could be great drink stirrers. And I think if you modify the bottom, you probably could turn them into drink stirrers. I would never use these as brushes. They're really terrible. Most of them are slant tip, cheap synthetic brushes with no body to them, or they're too stiff. The only one that I really didn't mind using was this one, which has the Stark logo, the direwolf. It's a thick kind of slant tip eye brush, and actually that wasn't too bad. And then this one was the longer one. It's too flimsy to do what it needs to do, but you could use it for highlighter. And then this one, which is Targaryen, had the regular like face brush to it. Flimsy, again, you could use it for highlighter, I would think, but not too much else. So, I mean, these were only, at the time I purchased them, I think they were about $13 for the set, and I think now it's $19 for the set. But I mean, after this episode this weekend, these will probably go down in price, I can imagine. So back to the Game of Thrones collection. I'm very picky about the makeup I keep in my collection because I'm not a hoarder, and I keep what I'm going to use and what I enjoy. So I did keep the eyeliner in Dragon Smoke. I think it's just a stunning color, and I don't think I gave it very much credit in the video when I reviewed it, but this is the Dragon Smoke color. It's a shimmering purpley blue, and it's just so pretty on the eyes. I've been using it almost every day as my eyeliner. I really like it a lot. Now, the main complaint I have about this one and the White Walker one I did return the White Walker one. In fact, oh boy, they hate me at Sephora over there. They hate me. They do. Oh my gosh. She just looked at me and she said, "Did you use these?" And I said, "Yeah, I used them. That's why I'm returning them." And the White Walker thing, when you use the eye pencils, and I don't know if anybody else had this problem, but they're so soft. They're very creamy and soft. And when you put a tiny little stripe on one eye, a tiny little stripe on the other eye, they're worn down to the nib, so you have to sharpen them. So you basically have to sharpen them almost every time you use it. So pretty soon this is going to be down to here. It's not, I've already sharpened this like 6 times. And it's starting to get a little bit, you know, down to the nib again. So, I mean, that was my complaint about this. I think the formulation wasn't as dense, I guess, as some of the other formulations. So, I like this, the Dragon Smoke. I think it's cool. I love, and I'm keeping the packaging because I think most of us who are Game of Thrones lovers bought this kit or these products just because we liked the show. We didn't care so much about anything else. The only lipstick I kept out of the whole group was the Sansa Stark, which is a very pretty but sheer kind of pale apricot-y color. It's one of my colors that I like for lipsticks, so I had no problem with keeping this. It does go more towards the orange golden side of the light pale peach, so it's kind of a nudie orange. And it's really good. You do have to touch it up. The packaging is beautiful. I'm keeping the box again because it has the Stark sigil all over it, and because it's really cute. It's just really cute. And yes, I kept the eyeshadow palette, which I went into great lengths and portrayed the White Walker, portrayed the Grandmother of Dragons, portrayed Sansa Stark, and portrayed Cersei Lannister when I did the demonstrations. And again, only 300 of you watched that. I'm just so hurt. I'm so hurt. Anyway, this is the eyeshadow palette. I thought that there were some standout colors here. I really loved, this black was kind of pretty as a base. This color here, this White Walker blue, it's just so pretty. And then these silvers were just great. This Lannister red was nice. I loved both of the purples in the Dragon's Bay. These were okay. This bronzy color was nice. I actually used this color, let me just see. I actually used this color in the Lannister segment all over my eye. I don't often do that whole lid thing right up into the crease with just the one color, and it's one of the reasons I kept the palette. I really like that. And some of you said that that was your favorite eye look, was the one that I did for Cersei Lannister. So the eyeshadow palette is still in the stores. I saw both Sephora and Ulta have displays with these things in it. Of course, both of them are sold out. The lipsticks, the eyeshadow palette are the only things that remain. So, and I think the highlighter palette, because none of us liked it. And all of the people who got it early on said how they didn't like it, so it didn't sell out. It and the eye palette didn't sell out, but I think they made extra of these. It's in classic palette, and it has several different things in it, and I thought for one of these kind of palettes, this had a really good assortment. You've got a nice mirror there. This is a really good travel or even day trip kind of palette. You've got a bronzer slash contour, a blush, and then you have 4 eyeshadows in there, and you can use those 2 in the eye as well. I really liked these this combination. You could do a plain flat lid, you could do a nice crease, a nice dark corner, and you could accent with the pretty blue shade. And it is very pretty, this blue. Let me just put it here. There we go. Let me just put it on the other side. Why not? What the heck? Living on the edge here. Yes, it is blue eyeshadow. Why not? And you can use, you know, accent colors. You can put this around the edge to warm up your eye look. Thusly. You can also, you know, accent with this. You can also use in the crease too. So I thought this was a great little kit, and it was at TJ Maxx, and I think it was like $6.99 or $5.99. Outrageously, well, here it is. No, it was $7.99. Isn't that neat? I really liked it. This is the Warrior mascara from that's Flower Beauty, and I really like this. I thought the brush was really good in it. I thought the coverage was really good. There's a little bit of fiber in there, so you do get some fullness on there. It's really nice. It doesn't melt down in warm weather, which is very important right now. I wouldn't say it's the most volume or the best quality mascara I've ever used, but I do like it, and I think out of the drugstore mascaras, it's one of the better ones. I would say maybe, you know, L'Oreal's Lash Paradise and this one are pretty close. And a lot of people complain that Lash Paradise dried up within 2 weeks after they opened up the container, because there's something about the air getting inside that did something to the formula. It didn't happen with this one. I really like this. It's been pretty good. Very last thing I'm going to talk about is the KYLIE Lipsticks. And they have on the Ulta website, you can get this. It's a 2-pack. It's a kind of a pinkish shade and kind of a nudie shade. Really, really pretty. If you haven't tried a KYLIE lipstick, you should, just for the experience, because it's a really excellent formulation. No matter how old you are, just give them a try. This particular couple colors, Candy K and Charm. So Candy K and Charm, let me just swatch them real quick. And they're slightly different formulations, so you can see the difference between the velvet formulation and the other formulation they have. So Candy K is the matte liquid, and then that's this one, and then the Charm is in the velvet. So pink and pale. These are really very wearable colors for you for the office or wherever. I think their nice longevity is great on these. It's worth giving them a try because I definitely do like KYLIE Lipsticks. I'm not a big supporter or proponent of that family or the people in the family, or the fact that, you I know she's been getting a lot of flack for her skincare line, which I'm not going to purchase anyway. But so that pretty much does it for me for the month of May. I will be back next time with a review of my 5 favorite concealers, and that will be a collaboration with another YouTuber. So I hope everybody's having a wonderful week and have a beautiful day. Take care. Toodles.